Good morning, council members, staff, and members of the public. It is Tuesday, October 28th, and I would like to call this meeting of council to order and begin by acknowledging that we are in Mi'kma'ki, the traditional territory of the Mi'kmaq people. We'll begin our announcements, acknowledgements, and recognition this morning, acknowledging some very special members in our gallery, and I'm going to turn it over to Mayor McLean-Weil to begin those introductions.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Vino. It is my pleasure to speak of the firemen today who are in our audience and are going to be recognized this morning for 50 years of service. There are some in this room that aren't 50 yet, I think, but to think of that level of volunteer commitment to our community and the incredible changes that have been made in the fire service here over that 50-year period, and they have been part of it and in many cases leaders in making that happen. And most importantly, always remembering that the fire service is about serving people and their communities. So it is an incredible achievement to have been that active for that long. So I do want to give a little bit of background on each of them. So I'm just going to ask them to stand if they don't mind. And then I'll introduce them. So I'll start with Curtis Speidel. Mr. Speidel, would you like to stand? He's here with his wife Patsy, which is really lovely, and a number of his family members. Curtis is being recognized for 50 years of service in the New Germany Volunteer Fire Department as the fire engineer, and has been secretary of that fire service as well. He's a valued member as a medical first responder, and for those who maybe don't realize, medical first responders do require a great deal of extra training, and I have been helped by a medical first responder, and so I know how important that kind of care is and attention to how you may not feel well that time or be in a serious situation. So Curtis, on behalf of the municipality, thank you for your service. And we'll do, will we present in, do you want to do them all? Well, why don't we do them, I'll introduce everybody and then we can come and have the presentation and the pictures. Mr. Cross, Dougie Cross from the Pleasantville and District Fire Department, thank you. Again, January 1975, that was when you joined the Pleasantville Fire Department and came through the ranks as captain, now a retired captain, but still active in the department today. His attendance has almost always been over 85%, even to this day, and he serves as chief fire engineer on engine number 3. He's a testament of dedication and commitment, as are all of those that we're recognizing today, and only takes time off for deer hunting. You should come to my place. I have so many. He helps out with the dinners at the fire hall and peels potatoes, which is a great job that everyone needs done. And as I'm told here, tells a great story. So you're an entertainer is not only for the work that you do. He's never shied away from serving on the property committee and all of that is associated with making sure that things look in good shape at the fire department. So again, my congratulations on behalf of the municipality and thank you for your service. And our third recipient of 50 years of service is Pat Langell. There he sits at the back, in the back row, a face that many of us recognize, and has been a member of the Bridgewater Fire Department. And as most of you would realize, Bridgewater serves as mutual aid for many of our departments, and so we recognize the service that they offer in the work to support our municipal fire departments. He joined the service on August 11th. They have actual really detailed records, 1980, and has served also with the Enfield Volunteer Fire Department. He's currently a firefighter on the ladder truck and an active member of the Fire Prevention Committee, which we know is really important in communicating and educating children in our schools and our communities about ways to prevent fires in homes and in their community. So Pat, thank you for your service. Congratulations. So we do have some presentations, so we're going to take a few minutes and get those presentations done.
Can we give
and
them applause?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I think it's a lovely picture.
Thank you.
And that's your we're going to stand over here. Okay, just get Is this good here? I'll get you to stand in front of the flag. It just looks much nicer.
Tina wants to kind of there at first.
Can we come too?
Yes, 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 yes.
Sure thing.
Yes.
Just 1 sec, I gotta take one. Sorry.
Thank you. Congratulations very much. Martin, you want to join us? Yes, absolutely. Great. Thank you very much. Pat? Thank you, everyone, and I really appreciate that so many of the family members were able to come this morning and be part of this. So thanks very much.
Are there any other announcements, acknowledgements, or recognitions? Councillor Smith.
Thank you. I want to acknowledge two groups who provided excellent conferences last week on urgent issues in our region. First, the Southwest Biosphere Association held a day on lakeshore health at Pond Hook Lodge. There were a number of speakers, some from our district, who talked about lake monitoring, the pressures of development, the challenges of regulation and enforcement, and biodiversity in the Atlantic coastal plain. The second group, Western Woodlot Services Cooperative, held a day of talks about wildfire mitigation and prevention at Best Western. These talks ranged from talking about the history of wildfire in the Maritimes, fire smart plant programming from a high level and also a community level, as well as provincial and Parks Canada responses to wildfire. Both of these days highlighted fast-changing conditions in our environment due to population growth and our changing climate. I want to thank the organizations who led the planning for these days. They were very informative. based in science and research, and it was an invitation to work together across the region on these issues.
Thank you for attending those on behalf of council.
Yeah, and I should mention, Councillor Oikle and Mayor McLean-Weil were at the wildfire conference, and Councillor Reinhardt was at the Lakeshore Day. So it's great to be able to attend these things together and bring these learnings into our work.
Okay, any further announcements? No? Do we have anybody here for public input? Okay. We have a familiar face in our gallery today, and I'll just take a moment to remind those listening that public input is one of several opportunities for the public to engage with council. We ask that all statements be respectful of all members of the public, staff, and council. And although we all know you around the table, we ask that you provide your full name and community where you reside.
Are we ready? There we are. My name is Letha Haysom. I live in Crousetown in District 1. Very nice to see you all this morning. I was coming in so I can see everyone in person. Two things that I wanted to mention today, and the first is no surprise to anyone around here, it is water, and we're very grateful for the rain we had last night. I think that, I know that the municipality provides a water program. I know that it has been extended. I know that the province has been working to extend access to sites like Rissers Beach where people can go to have showers. But we're coming to the end of that. Rissers Beach closes October 31st. And the truth is that a lot of us, myself included, have limped our wells through this dry period, and now is the point where they're going dry. So my hope is that, I'm sure this is something that you're discussing and addressing, and I have no doubt of that, but I am thinking ahead to your NSFM conference, and I'm thinking of how many other municipalities and residents are having the same sort of challenges, and perhaps there is an opportunity for NSFM to speak with one voice to the province to talk about additional supports. Some of us need more than just drinking water, right? So if there are some other supports or subsidies that the province can look at, this would be a great time to do it, recognizing that, Rissers Beach can't stay open year-round. It is a seasonal place for people to take a shower. So that was the first thing. The second issue that I wanted to address also relates to NSFM. And a recent development that came along from the province, basically the province stating that citizens can no longer make formal complaints about municipal councillors. And I want to start by saying that I absolutely recognize and acknowledge that there are frivolous complaints that are made, and I know that it ties up staff capacity. I know that this isn't news, but I would argue that the importance of two-way communication and transparency has definitely been a goal of this administration. There's been a real attempt to improve communication, to do a lot of consultation, and to really be transparent with residents about how you're doing business and the decisions that you're making. I would say that really in the past 5 years has been the tendency of this council, and maybe more so than other municipalities, there has been a real commitment to transparency. And so, and you might not believe this, but no one is more frustrated than me when I see comments saying, oh, this is a council that doesn't consult, you make decisions without speaking to residents, when I know that that is not true. So I know that Modal has its own code of conduct. NSFM worked very hard to put together a code of conduct for councillors. And I know also that there is a small and vocal contingent who thinks that council doesn't listen to the public. The province's decree that the public can no longer make formal complaints about councillors doesn't reflect the message that your council is trying to send, and it doesn't support the work that you guys do every day in our communities. And unsurprisingly, there has been some misinformation shared about this decision. Minister Lohr said that the complaint system is new, and that's not really true. The online standardized portal is new, but the ability for residents to file formal complaints about municipal councillors has been in place for decades. So basically, Lohr wanted to modernize the system. He moved it online, then called it new, said it wasn't working, and removed it. So to state that we didn't have a process before is untrue. We did, and we have for a long time. I was also taken aback to hear Department of Municipal Affairs state that participation in democracy happens at election time. So you get to participate in the democratic process once every 4 years, and the rest of the time you just kind of wait. Democratic participation and accountability is ongoing. And if you only want residents to weigh in once every 4 years, I mean, don't bother doing public consultation about land use planning. Don't bother asking people what they think about the housing strategy. Don't even ask for feedback about recreation programs, for that matter. I know that's not how you operate, and it's very strange to see the province suggesting that democracy happens once every 4 years and that there is no accountability for the people who represent us. I'm not sure why the president of NSFM would applaud this decision. It is, once again, the province interfering in the municipal jurisdiction. And the decision doesn't do anyone any favors, is the truth. Sure, there might be some municipalities who have a reduced load of paperwork to deal with frivolous complaints. But for the rest of us, for the individual municipalities, for NSFM, for residents as a whole, removing a right while you figure out a better system doesn't serve anyone. So next week, you all have the honor of joining your colleagues from around the province, and I know it's a lot of fun. Don't have too much fun. And I also know that there's a lot of important conversations that take place, and I think that this is an important conversation. I think it is an important conversation. So my sincere hope is that you will take the opportunity to speak to other councillors in other areas and discuss it with the NSFM leadership as well. Because I think that there has to be some communication back to the province about the fact that this is an unacceptable decision. If your organization's members are comfortable with silencing complaints about their work, there's a more fundamental issue around power, accountability, transparency, and integrity. And I want to be clear that I do not think that that applies to this council. I see the work that you do consistently, regularly, to consult and to communicate directly with your residents. So I think that you would want to have also the ability for residents to file a complaint if it is warranted. And I don't think that it serves your purposes to be seen as supporting a move to shut down dissent. So that's all I have to say. I do commend the work that you do, as always. It's always wonderful to see your faces. Have lots of fun in Halifax next week, and I hope that you're able to have some important conversations. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Letha, for bringing both those items forward. I can comment as the NSFM representative for this area on some information that I know about the Code of Conduct. I was emailed from some councillors in other units wondering where this came about and what's going to take place from it. I heard back from Pam Mood, the president of NSFM, and Juanita Spencer, who is the CEO. And I'm just going to refer to an email that I received. And from their point of view, the province was hearing cases of misuse and abuse of the code based on municipal feedback. And that next week at the NSFM conference, the request has been put into the province to provide more detail and clarity to the membership during the conference on the Code of Conduct. So feel free to reach back out if you would like, and hopefully we can provide some more details. With regards to the water situation, I know our mayor is in contact with the MLA, and perhaps you want to provide some details on what that's looking at, but we're definitely thinking long-term when it comes to our residents and how this is going to affect them.
I will be speaking this afternoon with Honorable Kim Maslin, the Minister of the Emergency Measures Organization, and most recently appointed as Minister of Natural Resources. And my intent in that is just to communicate that in 4 to 6 weeks, things are going to freeze up, and we don't have a really good plan of how we're going to get through the winter, because unless we get rain from now till Christmas, we probably aren't going to restore the water table to any extent. So my objective on behalf of council is just to communicate what we have done here, and we've invested significant dollars this year, and we have a waiting list now of, I just got the numbers this morning, 38 properties were committed, and we have a list of 30 more wanting well drilling. In addition to the 10,000, or of the more than 400 households that are on water, and my office is just next door to on the inside of the outdoor faucet, and there are people there all day. And I spoke with, when I was leaving council last night, a gentleman who was there. He comes 6 days a week to get water for he and his tenant. And he's on the list for getting a well. So I wanted to speak with Ms. Maslin to just speak on behalf of the municipality, as I know she knows from her own area how serious it is, but I think from the municipal organ across the province, municipalities need to really communicate how serious this is, and that we need to work together to figure out how we're going to get through winter, and then a longer term strategy around drought. But there is an immediate emergency here, I think.
Thank you for providing that update, and thank you for your input and contribution today. For those listening and watching, I would like to remind everyone that our public engagement website, engage.modl.ca, has information on upcoming open houses, workshops, and other events where you can share your thoughts and have your questions answered on municipal topics. You're also always free to contact your district councillor directly with your concerns. Are there any changes to our agenda today? Seeing none, can I get an approval for the agenda? Moved by Councillor Bell, seconded by Councillor Hubley. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. We have one set of minutes to approve, October 14th, 2025. Are there any errors or omissions to those minutes? Seeing none, we'll call those minutes approved. Moving down to business arising from the minutes. I'll turn it over to Alex Demerick, our Deputy CEO, for comment.
Good morning, council members. There was public input at our council and the community meeting. Both of the items related to agenda items and were addressed at the meeting.
Thank you for that update. Awarding of tenders. Up first, 7.1, we have award of capital project, supply and installation of Qubit Modular Vault Building, and we have Maria Butts, project manager for Modal, to bring that forward.
Good morning. Thank you, Council. The current approved 25-26 capital budget includes project funds for a accessible double vault washroom to be installed at Indian Falls Park. Back in June, on the 24th, staff brought forward options to Council to consider for washrooms within our park spaces. And during that session, Council authorized staff to proceed with the vault project at Indian Falls using a prefabricated building option. Since receiving that authorization to proceed, staff have worked with Qubit, company out of Blockhouse, to create a unique prototype to meet the direction of Council to purchase a prefabricated building for vault use. The particular design for a modular 8x16 building to be used for the vault project has now been finalized, and a quotation for the supply and installation of the building has been received. Staff are ready to proceed with the project and oversee the installation of the building on top of 2 septic vaults at Indian Falls Park.
Thank you. This is a long time coming and something that is well used in our parks. Is there somebody willing to bring forward this motion? Councillor Smith.
To Deputy Mayor Vino and the rest of Council, I move that Municipal Council approve the use of alternate procurement as per Section 19 of Policy 033, Purchasing and Tendering, to purchase and install a modular building from Qubit in the amount of $32,000, excluding HST, to be used as a double vault washroom at Indian Falls Park.
And is there a seconder on that motion? Seconded by Mayor McLean Weil. Discussion on the motion. Councillor Oigel.
Yes, I'm just wondering, of the $350,000 that was allocated for Indian Falls, how much is left once this is done, and how much more work is there then to do?
Thank you for the question. So the $350,000 that was in the capital budget includes the vault washroom project, among other items. So the other items included in that capital budget account for this fiscal year are the installation of an accessible picnic area with shade shelters, adjustments to the existing trail network to make accessible connections within the park and to connect all of the park features. So pathways will go from the parking lot to the new vault washroom and then connect to the trailhead as well as the new picnic area. So there is a number of projects within that envelope for Indian Falls that are actively happening. The funds that were set aside specifically for the vault project were $250,000 of that $350,000. So we did have multiple options, if council recalls from the presentation on park washrooms, to construct from the ground up on site. We were close to $200,000 for a vault washroom accessible option, and we were able to find this prefabricated option and work with Qubit to make a building work in this application. And so there is other costs associated with the project outside of the building and the installation, being the septic vaults. So we are overseeing the installation of the building on top of 2 septic vaults, which are procured by our procurement policy through 3 quotes for a licensed installer, because it is deemed to be a septic system by the Department of Environment. So we do have all those approvals in place already. So we're ready to proceed with the installation of the building on the vaults, but we will have cost savings as a result of going forward with this option for the project.
Thank you.
Councillor Brooks.
Thank you, Maria. Just out of my own curiosity, so this project with Qubit, would you describe it as a prototype? They've never done this before. They were doing this to work with us. Is that correct?
Yes, so the prefabricated building modules are something they're creating for residential applications, from my understanding. So the 8x16 size, dimensions, those are all fixed that Qubit produces now. But what is unique is the application for the unit. So there is specific requirements in the vault of building for ventilation for your septic. So there's engineered components. So Qubit worked with an engineer to create the vault template that the building could sit on top of with all the venting requirements. So instead of having your regular walls like you would have in a residential application, we have vents that are inset in the mold process as they produce the building, so it is unique in that way.
Great, thank you. And just one last question. Will it sit on a pad? We'll pour a concrete pad and it sits on a pad, or does it have its own self-contained pad?
So in this case, it's going to be installed on screw piles. So those sit on either side so we don't get in the way of the vault structure. So it will not sit directly on the septic tanks, which was another requirement. So the installation is a little bit unique in that way as well. And in the case of Indian Falls, we have high bedrock situations. So we do anticipate that we will be using rock anchors on the 4 corners of the building to set that just above elevation of the septic tanks on site. So that is all included in the cost as well, the installation component of the building. Yeah.
Councillor Smith.
Thanks so much. I was speaking with a resident last week about this park, and they were just saying how wonderful it was, how far this park had come over the years, and that when they had first, gone to the park, it was really just, an open gate and a place to explore without any set trails or infrastructure. And it just made me think about, and he was really celebrating the fact that now we have these accessible features, and just how far it's come as a park. And it just led me to think we should celebrate that. When we're done these trails, when the bathroom is installed, I know, maybe we don't want to have a party that centers on the bathroom, but it would be nice to have some kind of opening, or celebration that says, you know, we've gotten this park to the standard, to the standards that we've set. And especially, it would be nice to have something, especially since a lot of this season, it was not open to the public. So with the Woods Ban, it was closed, and now it's closed for the updates. And yeah, if we could do something, that would be really lovely.
I think Trudy Payne, our Director of Recreation Services, will comment on that.
So we do have intentions to do just that. It likely would be more in the spring because we don't know, when you're dealing with contractors on a day-to-day basis, we don't want to set a particular date and then have to retract from that. So there is intentions very similar with our plans with Miller Point Peace Park with the kayak launch, but the Woods Band put a kibosh to that. So we'll be looking at celebrating two parks come this spring, which would be Indian Falls and Miller Point Peace Park. So it is on the staff's work plan to do just that. And we'll certainly keep councillors informed of those dates and work with your calendars to make sure that fits.
Mayor McLean-Weil.
Just a question about the cost of the vault itself. What would that add to this cost? The $32,000 for the cubit and then the vault cost? Just so I know a total cost.
I can have the final total. There's unique components that are going into the mold of each unit, which I'm sorting out actively today. So we are, because of the ventilation requirements, I can say with confidence that the two vaults and the specialized forms we're going to use, our costs are going to be under, for the two tanks, $10,000. I'm just waiting to fine tune the final cost estimate for that. But yes, I'll have, by the end, as we work through what I'm calling the pilot project for the vault washrooms, I will have a very fine-tuned, detailed costing for everything, including all those little bits and pieces.
I just want to thank you for, this is a huge saving because it sets the prototype for what we can do in our other parks. And that $250,000 can go a long way now towards putting washrooms in some of our other parks. So thank you.
Savings and under budget are not something we hear very often lately around this table, so it's really good that this worked out. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. Up next, we have award of our Community Hub fit-up tender, and we have Dave Waters, our Director of Economic Development, to bring that forward.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor and Council. The memo in front of us is in relation to the Community Hub fit-up for the cafe, kitchen, event space, boardroom, and the main Community Hub space, which is, of course, the bathrooms, the electrical rooms, and the hallways. We did a tender in order to discover if we were going to get a reasonable price on the tender. We did some Class C estimates with a company called Hascom Limited. They came back at a Class C estimate of $1.4715 million. We had RCS quote on this project at 1.365, which was good, recognizing that it was under budget from the Class C estimate that we did. In order to facilitate this project, we did use Article 19.1.9, Policy 033, Purchasing Tenders and Policies, which permits work to be performed on or a leased property by the leaseor. We did that for a few reasons. One, for continuity of the project, and two, there would be a 15% management fee if we went elsewhere, recognizing that they actually quoted under the cost C. We were quite pleased with how the costing came forward. Just a little bit of background on this. This was in the 2023-2024 budget. For those that recall, originally the plan was to do a farmers market, cafe, event space, and some offices. We did go out on council's request and get additional feedback from the community and made an alteration of our plan away from the farmer's market, more into programming space and event space. The budget was set at 3 million at that point in time. This certainly is the largest item of the 3 million. It is not the complete fit-up. There still is programming space and possible office space, depending on what may or may not occur. Staff is recommending we move ahead with this. Council can, however, choose not to move ahead and go back and look out for alternative options, but there is a 15% management fee that will be charged and significant delays. And with that, I'll open up for any questions.
Councillor Oikel.
Could you please explain what your meaning is by a Class C estimate and why you went out and got it?
Class C estimate gives us a baseline estimate of what the cost would be for the fit-up. We did that because we knew we were going to use alternative procurement 19.9, and we wanted to make sure that we had some sort of baseline on what we thought the cost would be. So it's basically setting a baseline of what the expected cost is, and been around for a little while. Normally, Class Cs are, the actual budgets come over the Class C budget, so this was refreshing that it was actually under. We did that to protect the taxpayer and the value for money.
Can I have somebody bring the motion forward to the floor? Councillor Oikel.
To Deputy Mayor Vino and members of council, I move that municipal council approve the use of alternate procurement as per section 19.1.9 of policy 0033, purchasing and tendering, and accept the fit-up tender issued by Well Tide Health on August the 8th, 2025 for completion of the base cafe, kitchen, event space, boardroom, and main community hub common areas, and award it to RCS Construction Incorporated in the amount of $1,365,500, excluding HST, and I so move.
Is there a seconder on that motion? Seconded by Councillor Burns. Discussion on the motion. Mayor McLean-Weil.
Is there any issue associated with getting this area complete without knowing the details around the programming area?
There's no issues. However, I would suggest that it would be a significant cost saving should we determine what the programming space is before we start the fit-up. The fit-up won't start till February, so we still have a few months to determine that. But again, you'll end up getting cost savings if the programming space is determined before the actual work starts.
So why are we approving this today then if we can see that there's savings with the programming piece added to this?
If we don't, we're going to have significant delays and have a building up and nothing in it, and paying lease payments on an empty building.
Mayor McLean-Weil.
How close are we to having the programming space management, I guess that, or what's holding up? Maybe you can tell us what's holding up the programming space.
Tom can speak to this, but my understanding is Tom is coming to council in a couple weeks to bring that forward.
Okay. Yes, thank you for the question. So we presented to the library board, I believe last week, to ensure that they were still interested in a management type of arrangement, which would be established through an MOU. So we did get consensus from the library board that they were still prepared to act in that capacities, provided that we had confirmation of funding. We reached out to the Deputy Minister of Community Culture and Heritage with a request for pilot funding, haven't heard back from them. But at the Library Board meeting, we did learn that the Deputy Minister of Community Culture and Heritage met with a committee of all of the regional libraries and advised that not only would there not be an increase in library funding in the upcoming budget, but there may be a decrease. So I took that as a indication that there would likely not be pilot funding for our program. So my plan is to come to council with a funding request to provide the funding required to staff up the programming space in particular, and that will be coming to council in November. And to further to Dave's point, RCS, to start the work towards the fit-up, they needed confirmation of funding. So we brought it here today. The cafe, community kitchen, community space, and boardroom space are, I wouldn't say finalized, but as close as we can reasonably get to being finalized. And the community space or the community hub space is the one with a bit of a question mark. Although the fit-up of the space itself, we have a fairly good plan. We presented it to the library board on what it would look like. And we've been working with the CEO of the South Shore Regional Library on the look and what it would include. So we've been sort of working towards the end goal now for some time.
I just think it's unfortunate that and I realize that there's a lot of moving pieces to this, but if there's going to be additional cost because we can't put it all together, and if it's only a couple of weeks, I would suggest it would be better to wait a couple of weeks till we get that finalized before we look at this. But maybe there's something I'm missing here.
No, I mean, if you look at it from the other perspective, if we delay the decision to move forward on the fit-up with RCS, and they're doing the fit-up on the other side of the building, and we go back to them later, that cost is going to increase significantly. We're getting the value that we're getting because of the timing of which we're doing it. The portion of the programming space is fairly insignificant from a fit-up perspective on the overall project. They are doing a white box fit-up on the programming space, but again, council needs to determine if that's what they want to move forward. But if we do delay it, that does add significant cost. That would be my concern.
Councillor Oikel.
Could you explain what you mean by the fit-up? What is the fit-up? Is that the wires? Is that walls? Like is that
Yeah.
what fit-up
It's
is?
flooring, paint, electrical, HVAC, plumbing. That's what they call fit-up. So it's.
Any further discussion before we call for the vote? Councillor Reinhardt.
Thanks. I'm just wondering if there are opportunities to incorporate energy efficiency into this fit-up, and if so, how will they do that?
Yeah, it's not actually our building. We have suggested a number of things to them over the last 2 years, but the actual base build is in the responsibility of the building owner. There may be some things that we can do on our side, but it will be energy efficient, just based on the fact that it's a new build and what they're doing, but the actual energy cost savings of a building per se, that's in the building owner's responsibility. We have made suggestions, but what they do is up to them.
Further comments, questions? Mayor McLean-Weil.
Just one last question. Mr. Waters said significant cost associated with delaying it. Do you have any idea what that might represent out of, like it's almost 1.4 million. Is it 10% or 20% additional cost if we wait?
No idea whatsoever. I really don't. I do know that we're getting cost savings because we're doing the fit up in conjunction with the work that they're doing. Now, if they do the fit up of the other portion of the building, go away and come back, you're not going to get those economies of scale. What the percentage of increase is, I have no idea. Wouldn't have that number.
Councillor Oikel.
So if they go away, then would we not also be running a risk that they would then get involved in another project, and then to come back would be a further delay in coming back? Is that a possibility? Like, I don't know what kind of construction company this is.
There's always those risks.
Okay.
So I think I'm correct when I say one of the ways we're trying to control costs is the building owner would take like the sewer line to the edge of our space, and before they lay the concrete floor, we want them to put in all of our in-floor plumbing, not come back and do it later, and the same with the water lines and the electrical. So by doing it this way, RCS has indicated that we need to confirm that we will fund the fit-ups before they will take steps to work on our fit-ups. And we want to ensure that everything is lined up so that we avoid situations where they do work that they then have to undo to fit up our space. So we have, I think, a line of 8 washrooms. We've got at least 3 areas that have running water. And so we're trying to make sure that we take advantage of the fact that it's a new build and that everything is taking place as they're doing it. Currently, we are really the only non-owner tenant in the building. The other space that they have designed for use is either owned by one of the partners, or they're doing a fit-up for Nova Scotia Health on a turnkey operation on a fixed-term lease. So we've been trying to work with them in both design to lay out where our toilets are going to be, and we did that in advance, and now work with them on the actual construction. They've indicated that they believe fit-up will be ready for February. So that's the timeline that we're working towards, and working with the South Shore Regional Library to try to get, so long as council confirms funding is available for those spaces. We have the first draft of the MOU already prepared. So we're working towards that sort of end of year goal to have this all wrapped up. And if everything continues to lay out the way it's going, our plan, we think, is that the building will be operational in September 2026. There's a suggestion by the owner that it'll be earlier, but we think September 2026 is likely. So that's it's our attempt to control costs and just keep things moving forward.
I don't see any other speakers, so we will call for the motion. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried unanimously. We don't have any presentations for the agenda today. There's no consideration of correspondence, so we'll move down to recommendations from committees and boards. And under the Policy and Strategy Committee, up first we have our gender-based violence epidemic and municipal roles, and our Deputy CEO will give a very brief intro to that. For anybody looking for further discussion, we held conversation at our October 21st 2025 meeting, and feel free to tune into that if you would like to hear the discussion that council had at that time.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So as mentioned last week, there was a more detailed presentation on gender-based violence, the actions that the municipality has taken so far, as well as covering some options for the municipality to proceed. There were 2 recommendations from staff. One was simply direction to go ahead and explore options for further investment in community-based grants and also the senior safety program that was passed, and so staff are working on that. The recommendation that you have before you is to refer the item on to the Regional Anti-Discrimination and Anti-Racism Advisory Committee to get advice on how we can best support the elimination of gender-based violence as a region. We're hoping that we can get some expert advice and first voice expertise on that front. There is also a second motion brought forward during the discussion, which is to write a letter to the minister responsible for education and early childhood development. And this is to inquire about the possibilities around more education for gender-based violence in the school system.
Thank you. Can I have somebody bring forward motion 10.1.1? Councillor Smith.
To Deputy Mayor Vino and Council, I move that Municipal Council accept the recommendation of the Policy and Strategy Committee and refer the presentation from Be the Peace Institute to the Lunenburg County Anti-Racism and Anti-Discrimination Advisory Committee for advice on how the municipality can best support the elimination of gender-based violence.
Is there a seconder on that motion? Seconded by Councillor Hubley. Discussion on the motion. Councillor Smith.
I just want to recognize Councillor DeLong in the gallery because Councillor DeLong had brought forward the original motion to declare gender-based violence an epidemic at this council, but last council. And this is a continuation of that work, and we are doing groundbreaking work at the municipal level on addressing this issue. And I think, I'm saying celebrate for the second time today, but I think that we really should take pride in that work. It's a, you know, an emotional and a very challenging issue, and we're facing it head on and looking at what we can do as a municipality. So I just want to recognize Councillor DeLong's courage in bringing that forward when she did, before the province even recognized it.
It's a difficult conversation to have, and for those that listen to our Policy and Strategy Committee, you'll realize how emotional that was for us, and we're trying to tackle it head on. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried unanimously. Can somebody bring 10.1.2 to the floor? Councillor Moore.
Sorry. To Deputy Mayor Vino and Council, I move that Municipal Council accept the recommendation of the Policy Strategy Committee and write a letter to Minister responsible for Education and Early Childhood Development, Brenda McGuire, with copies to local MLAs, requesting that they consider educating school-age children on gender-based violence. And I so move.
And I just want to clarify, it's Brendan McGuire.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a seconder on that motion? Seconded by Councillor Oikel. Discussion on the motion. Councillor Reinhardt.
Thank you. Yeah, I was really happy that the discussion we had at the meeting last week, and having a background in education, I really wanted to do a little digging into this. So I have some good news. I just made a few inquiries, and the Department of Education has begun a province-wide implementation of curriculum addressing gender-based violence and bystander intervention education. And the goal is to roll the program out to all grade levels from primary to grade 12, which is great because I remember that's something the Be the Peace speakers mentioned was really important to start at grade primary. And the program has actually started in some schools in grade 10 to 12 this year, and there are plans to roll it out in all grades next year. So that's really good news, so I wanted to share that with everyone. And not saying at all that we shouldn't write the letter, but perhaps we could include more of an update on how that program is rolling out in our school district.
think the conversation we had last week also included information on wanting to know what's currently being done. So it's great to have an educator around the table who could do her own investigation and bring that forward. Counselor Brooks. Oh,
And
sorry.
I just want to clarify that I don't speak on behalf of the school board or anything like
Absolutely.
that. Just my own information.
Thank you for that. Counselor Brooks.
Thank you, Councillor Reinhardt, for that update. On Councillor Reinhardt's point, it sounds like the province is addressing this. I'm told frequently around this table not to send things up to the province because the province has got it or won't listen to it or whatever. Sounds like the province is dealing with this one, so I'm not exactly sure what our purpose of sending this up is. So I support the intent. I'm not sure I support the motion.
Counselor Oikle.
I agree with, even though I did bring this forward last week, and with the information that Councillor Reinhardt has, and to Councillor Brooks, perhaps we should say thank you. Add to it a thank you for them to consider it and doing their work. Wouldn't hurt to amend the motion as a thank you. I so move that.
I'm going to rely on staff to provide the direction on where we go from here. There's a motion on the floor. There is a suggested amendment, so can our Deputy CEO provide some direction on that?
Sure, you could handle that as an amendment to the motion. So we just switch out some wording there around requesting that they consider educating to thank you for developing curriculum for school-aged children on gender-based violence. So you'd look for a seconder and then vote on the amendment. And then if that passes, vote on the amended motion.
Okay. Do we have to go back to Councillor Moore, who made the original, or do we deal with the amendment first?
Yeah, well, that's a great question on parliamentary procedure. Once a motion is put forward and seconded, it becomes a motion of the body that's making the deliberation. So it's no longer an individual's motion. And so it's appropriate to just have someone put forward an amendment motion if they wish to support the original thrust but modify it slightly.
So Councillor Oikle, just confirming that you've put the amendment on the floor. Is there a seconder on that amendment? Seconded by Councillor Hubley. Discussion on the amendment. Councillor Smith.
I really respect engagement on this, but in order to vote for a thank you around this curriculum, I would need more information about the curriculum and how it's going. So, you know, if there was an opportunity to hear from someone about the curriculum and like, it just feels if we're sending a letter to the province, it's got to be more substantial than thank you for this aspect of your plan, but not really knowing much about it. So, you know, I respectfully, I can't support the motion at this time.
Further discussion on the amendment. Okay. All those in favor, please signify. Of the amendment. Those opposed? Opposed is Mayor McLean-Weil, Councillor Brooks, Councillor Burns, Councillor Smith, Councillor Reinhardt, Councillor Bell, Councillor Moore, and myself. The amended motion is defeated. So we are back to the original motion that's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Opposed is Mayor McLean-Weil, Councillor Brooks, Councillor Burns, Councillor Smith, Councillor Reinhardt, Councillor Bell, Councillor Oikle, Councillor Hubley, and myself. Motion is defeated. Our next item under the Policy and Strategy Committee recommendations is the first refusal waiver regarding 391 Harold Wynot Road. And can our Deputy CEO do a brief intro on that as well?
Absolutely, yep. So this is a property nearby, just up the road on Harold Wynot. The municipality did hold a right of first refusal for the property. It doesn't match with your strategic priorities. We're not interested in acquiring the property, and the committee has recommended that council formally waive that right.
Can somebody bring forward motion 10.1.3? Councillor Burns.
To the Deputy Mayor, Member of Councils, I move that Municipal Council accept the recommendation of the Policy and Strategy Committee and waive its right of first refusal pertaining to the purchase of 391 Harold Wynot Road, Pine Grove, being PID 605-82566 in favor of the Department of National Defense.
Is there a seconder on that motion? Seconded by Councillor Brooks. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried unanimously. 10.2, Fire and Emergency Services Committee. We have an appointment of member at large of Brooke Gray. And can I have somebody bring forward that motion? Councillor Hubley.
To Deputy Mayor Vino and members of council, I move that Municipal Council accept the recommendation of the Fire and Emergency Services Committee and appoint Brooke Gray as a member at large on the Fire and Emergency Services Committee for a 3-year term commencing November 1st, 2025. And I so move.
Is there a seconder on that motion? Seconded by Councillor Bell. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried unanimously. Under staff reports and the Recreation and Parks and Tourism Department, we have item 11.1.1, Designated Community Fund, Friends of Cherry Hill Old Community Cemetery, and we have Trudy Payne, our Director of Recreation Services, to present.
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor and Council. The staff report before you concerns a request from the Friends of Cherry Hill Old Community Cemetery. I was here a couple of weeks ago, as Council probably does recall, and we did award them some funds back. They have received some donations of late. We did reach out and ask them if they were anticipating that they weren't going to have any more this year, because we're very conscious of bringing amounts to council, and they have indicated to us this should be the last request for this year. So as council is aware, they were approved under our designated community fund policy to preserve and restore their cemetery, particularly their rock wall that the mayor was involved in helping to build, I believe, on one weekend when they were doing some workshops. So the recommendation being brought forth by staff is that council consider granting the Friends of Cherry Hill Old Community Cemetery $240 as per the criteria outlined in the Designated Community Fund Policy MDL 48. And if there's any questions, I will certainly try to address them.
Is there any questions before putting the motion on the floor? Seeing none, can somebody bring forward that motion? Councillor Reinhardt.
To Deputy Mayor Vino and members of council, I move that Municipal Council grant the Friends of Cherry Hill Old Community Cemetery $240 as per the criteria outlined in Policy 048 Designated Community Project Fund, and I so move.
Is there a seconder on that motion? Seconded by Councillor Brooks. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried unanimously. Under mayors, deputy mayors, and councillor matters, the LCLC update. The board did not meet in October. However, I'd like to share some highlights from the October 2025 General Manager's reports, and they are as follows. the EV car chargers. The easement and lease agreements have been finalized and signed. Work on the project began on October 15th and is expected to take approximately 6 weeks to complete. The office and gallery furniture. The final pieces of furniture have arrived. New chairs have been added to both the Galleria and the meeting room, completing the furniture updates for these spaces and officially wrapping up that project. And as someone who uses the gallery furniture frequently, I can finally get a seat over there when I go. So it is well used, and they're nice and bright. They're blue and green. It really brightens up the gallery. The ice resurfacer. The new machine is anticipated to arrive in March 2026. Arena operations are now in full swing for the winter season, with programming and ice schedules underway. The South Shore Lumberjack Junior B Hockey Club games have started, and they have been well attended and ran smoothly, and I believe they are currently on a 9-game winning streak, which is not only great for the team, but great for the community. The crowds show up for a winning team. Year-to-date totals, we are up 48,728 visitors to the LCLC, which is pretty incredible compared to 2024. And I'd like to remind those that all agendas and minutes are on the LCLC website and are current. For those who want to follow along with the happenings at the LCLC, please visit www.lclc.com. There is a box on the right-hand side of the main page to leave your contact information to subscribe to those monthly updates. There's no added items to our agenda, and therefore it is time for our in-camera portion of the agenda, and I would call for somebody to move that we go in camera. Moved by Councillor Burns, seconded by Councillor Brooks. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried unanimously.